Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today we're talking about that Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker trailer that broke last night, which has got the internet a-buzzing. There have been countless numbers of videos breaking down the trailer, countless numbers of videos trying to explain all the different elements, and that's not exactly what we'll be doing here. I'll be speaking more generally about the trailer, giving my overall thoughts about it, and trying to talk about a couple of elements of the trailer that I think are worth noting, as they seem to indicate that the leaks that we got on Reddit not too long ago are indeed correct, or at least seem to be correct, and also that this is probably going to go down in history as one of the worst trilogies of all time. This is something that we already knew because of The Last Jedi and how that as a middle movie does not work and does not make any damn sense. And in my mind, I think that that movie is truly haunting anything Star Wars related now at this point, and it especially is haunting this trailer. So let's go ahead and dive into it just a little bit. So just overall, the trailer was not very good. The trailer contradicted itself several times over, especially with this character, Kylo Ren. They show Kylo Ren fighting Rey, and then in the same exact trailer, not too long after they show them fighting, they show them fighting together. This automatically is contradicting itself and really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The other big problem with this trailer is that we still don't know anything about the even basic plot of the story. All we know are plot leaks. All we know are general facts. And some people might say, but that's a good thing, right? We don't want trailers to tell us everything. And this is indeed true. But we also do need to get some element of, okay, what is the point of me going to see this film? What am I actually going to see? The problem with this trailer is that it was all flash in the pan. It was literally all, look at all of these cool images, come see our movie. And that might be able to work in a film that's directed by Christopher Nolan, where it's, hey, you're not going to have any idea what my movie's about, but look at all these really beautiful shots. The difference there is that, hey, he's proven in the past that he does that and he delivers, right? There's very few times that Christopher Nolan has ever not delivered. I would argue that The Dark Knight Rises is an example of him not delivering, even though the trailers were actually very, very good and really built up the overall tension of the movie itself. But obviously that's an argument that a lot of people can have differing opinions on. What we know very clearly is that Star Wars doesn't really have that same capacity, right? We got a really great trailer for The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens came out, and it was fine. It was a rehash of A New Hope. Almost everyone and their mother has said that at this point, that it was nothing new. It was a rehash of A New Hope, and that the new characters were okay, but they really weren't all that interesting. There were some points that they could have easily dived into in a second film, and we would have maybe been more interested in those characters, but for the most part, it was an intro to a story. And then, of course, we get Star Wars: Last Jedi, which takes all of those interesting points, or at least somewhat interesting points, and says, oh, yeah, screw you. I'm just going to, throw those out the window, subversion of expectations for the sake of nothing else than just subverting expectations and destroying characters and destroying story arcs and the storylines that have taken years and years to develop. But hey, I like it, and that's all that I care about, is what I think and what Kathleen thinks. And Kathleen likes me, and so therefore I'm okay. When in the end, all he did was just completely destroy Star Wars canon, especially with that Hyperspace Tram, which will come into play, especially in a little bit. So we got a lot of that. We got a lot of these random images. We got a lot of really beautiful music. If I could say anything positive about this trailer, it is that the John Williams score is fantastic. The problem with that score, though, which I can be critical of, is that it's essentially a rehash of his original score. So we can say that there's new orchestrations, that there's new movements in the score, but it's all stemming from that original, which I think overall works very well because it's a powerful score. It moves you very much so. There's a scene in which 3PO is saying, I'm just looking at my friends. Like, I just want to take a moment to look at my friends. And the score at that moment, you're like, oh my God, that's so powerful. The problem is that what could have been and should have been a powerful moment was completely destroyed by the fact that he was speaking to characters that he's had very little interaction with and has very little relationship with. Had he been saying that, and this is something that a lot of people have been saying, so I'm definitely not taking ownership of this, as I'm not taking ownership of a lot of the things that I'll probably be saying today, because, again, countless videos have been made at this point. But had he been saying that to Leia, had he been saying that to Luke, had he been saying that to that original group, right, Han, then that moment would be heartbreaking. And I would have been complaining that it's in the trailer because I would not have wanted that moment to be in the trailer. The problem is that it was in the trailer and he was saying it to characters that mean nothing. And that's, I think, the biggest point to take away from this trailer. This is not just me hating on the trailer. This is not just because I want to hate on the trailer, right? If the trailer was good, I would have been like, hey, I'm at least excited for this movie now, or I think this movie has potential, even though I've still got my issues. And I try to always be as objective as I possibly can when it comes to these types of things, because that's kind of my thing. I try and be the objective person in the room and always tell you very clearly, hey, here is my subjective opinion. Here's what I subjectively think. And I'm always trying to make that very clear. That's the reason why I've said before. The reason why I love almost all the Thor films, including Dark World, which is objectively bad, is because I am drawn more to that Norse mythology, obviously as being Odin's movie blog. That should hopefully make a lot of sense. That's a great example, right? When it comes to this trailer, the same way. If there were some things, some story elements that would have been good, hey, that would have been fine. I think the problem with the story, or rather with the trailer overall, is that this, to me, felt like it was made for general audiences just to say ooh and ah. It was not made for Star Wars fans. It was not made to help us understand what the movie's about. It was not there to help us get excited for the movie in any real capacity because of the story. It was, look at all these really shiny objects and look at all those ships, right? Which is bringing me to kind of like my biggest point of all this. And I really got to give a shout out to, I think it's @RM Huffman, I believe is his tag on Twitter. He's a really, really awesome personality on Twitter. I've been able to, or Huffman, I think is his last name. And we've been back and forth on Twitter in a large group chat. But he had probably the comment of the night. And it was that he showed the image of all of the ships. You know which one I'm talking about. They show all the ships. The Millennium Falcon comes swooping in on the screen. And that entire moment, which should be powerful because you're like, oh, the Resistance, it's gigantic and they're going to fight it. And we've already seen images, right, of the countless numbers of Star Destroyers that for somehow, some reason, were all created, were all built over this 30-year or so period in total secrecy, which would have taken such a high supply of various materials that someone would have heard about it. Someone would have had to know about it at some point in time. And yet it just magically happens. But here's the problem with all of those things. Because of The Last Jedi, because the fact that hyperspace ramming is now a thing, that does not move the heart or mind at all. Because all I have to do, and as Huffman pointed out, saying, oh, so let me just take one Star Destroyer, empty it of all my people, and obviously we know that they can waste a ship because we have countless numbers of ships that have already been portrayed in a trailer. Let's go ahead and take that ship and hyperspace ram it through all of those ships, destroying almost all of them, and save ourselves some time and money. Or on the flip side of that, why is the Resistance not just sending one unmanned ship through all the Star Destroyers? Same thing. Easy end to the battle. But you know what they're not going to do in this movie? They're not going to have any hyperspace ramming because hyperspace ramming is stupid. But the problem is that no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, no matter how hard J.J. Abrams tries to distance himself from The Last Jedi, it is still a part of the canon, which is why the only reason and the only way you could ever make a movie work in this current universe is by decanonizing that damn film. But they're not going to do that, right? They're saying, no, he was great. The movie was great. It didn't break the fandom at all. No, it was a great story. In fact, people are just jealous because it's the greatest Star Wars film that's ever been created at this point, even though it created all of these narrative problems, especially with the hyperspace ramming. Not to mention, it also had a voiceover from Luke Skywalker saying, hey, facing evil, hey, that's all what part of being a Jedi is. Someone did a great job on Twitter earlier and basically connected that clip to the moment in The Last Jedi when he throws the lightsaber over his head and says, oh no, I'm done with that. Oh no, I'm done with that. So really all this trailer does is it shows all of the contradictions that existed in The Last Jedi. It shows how bad The Last Jedi really was from a narrative perspective, and it reminds you that no matter what they do in this film, it's not going to change anything. No matter what they do, unless of course it has a retcon of the last movie, they cannot escape the ghost of it. They cannot escape it. They can throw in all the characters they want. They can throw in all the cameos they want. They can literally have the ship from Rebels, which I know many people were excited about seeing. They can have that in there. They can say, oh, that voice in the beginning, who was it? Oh, it could have been Ezra Bridger. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Because the narrative is so broken at this point that all that they would do is drag in another beloved character just to be dragged down into the mud with it. And I don't want to see that anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm so sick and tired of this nonstop, giant, big budget crap storytelling that people will continuously just go to theaters and mindlessly consume. I'm tired of it. And all the people out there that are, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Hey, you have every right, and subjectively speaking, to be excited. But at the very least, step back for a second. Put on your thinking caps and think, does this objectively make any sense? Does this objectively work within the context of the story? When you have someone like the Emperor being shown, unless they're going to go ahead and try and make the story that, oh, he's a clone. Oh, it was Camino. Maybe he's a clone. Unless they're going to do that, there's no way they can explain how he survived. Because if you look back at the clip from The Return of the Jedi, he gets evaporated. He completely disappears, right? He gets completely evaporated. You can try to say, oh, he transferred himself over and blah, blah, blah. The Force, the Force, the Force. Yes, let's just have the Force be the explanation for everything now. So you had that aspect to it. You also have the aspect where you now have, all of a sudden, there's this ability for them to have wreckage of the first Death Star. See, there's some people out there that are excited about this because they say it's fan service and, this is exciting. This is what I want to see. Here's the problem. In the original movie, and this could have been cleared up in the comics for all I know. This could have been even cleared up in the EU that they've made canon or that they've decanonized at this point. Who knows? The problem, is that in the movie, in the actual visuals of the film, when the Death Star blows up, it is evaporated. There is nothing left but sparks. Now, you could argue that, that is just the effect that they had at the time. And so, therefore, we can assume that some type of space metal came off of it. And I would say, hey, you know what? That might be a fair point. However, that's not visually what we were told. Visually, what we were told was that the entire Death Star got evaporated, which would make scenes like this impossible. They'll have to be able to explain that. They'll have to be able to justify that. It might be very easy for them to do so, but they'll still have to do it nonetheless. Or what they'll do is do exactly what The Last Jedi did and introduce concepts like hyperspace ramming or a wide variety of other things and say, oh, no, we can do it just because. Which is most likely what they're going to do. They're not going to explain how it happens. They're just going to say, oh, yeah, it's fine the way it is. You also have horses in space, which also doesn't make any damn sense. Like, I'm really trying to understand this. You can see that Finn's riding a horse here. If this was a land battle, maybe, right? We can think about the Wookiees. We can think about how different species might have been able to utilize horses in this way to make this kind of a battle work. But when you're going up against ships, when you're going up you're on a ship already, and you're going up against other ships, how is this going to be impactful? Again, that's a minor gripe in comparison, right? Horses in space! We have horses in space! Which is just going to be hilarious. And really also, the one thing at the very end of the trailer, what happens? You get that shot of Rey, and she's obviously staring at something or someone, and it's that moment that I realize, they've just confirmed the Reddit leaks. Because at that moment, whose voices do you hear? You hear Luke Skywalker and Leia. You hear Luke and Leia, and they're saying, the Force will be with you always. And that is the moment where you will see in the movie 2 Force ghosts, possibly even more than that, staring back at her in that Harry Potter ending moment of, you can do this, right before she defeats Emperor Palpatine, who for some reason and somehow is still alive. Now, can they explain a lot of these things? Sure. But as I've tried to mention beforehand, the narrative flaws and problems of The Last Jedi continuously haunt this film, and you'll never be able to get past them, no matter what you do, unless you decanonize some of the worst elements of that film. At the very least, the hyperspace ram, there's no reason. Again, I look at the scene and I'm like, why should I care about these people when the Empire can just send any ship into hyperspace or into hyperspeed and ram it into that ship right now and destroy all their lives? Why don't they do that? Now, every time I see a Star Wars film, looking back, I'm going to say, why did they waste all those human lives on the Death Star when they could have just sent an X-Wing, hyperspace ramming through it, cutting it in half, and completely destroying it? Oh, the shields and all this other stuff. Okay. So explain how it worked in The Last Jedi. Please. Please explain it. You're telling me that the shields were down? That they just magically went down and were able to just go jump back in somehow, some way? Okay. Sure. Good luck with that. Right? So we look at all these things. They don't make any damn sense. You have here, while the Resistance is fighting the First Order, Rey is being drained of the Force. As she is being drained, she attempts to reach out to the Jedi who have become one with the Force. She is successful, and the voices of Obi-Wan, Ahsoka Tano, and Leia can be heard. Force ghosts will not be seen, but the voices imply they are with her in spirit. That was, of course, a part of the leaks, the supposed Reddit leaks, and that seems to be likely the situation they're going in. And at that last image that we see, that's probably exactly what will happen. You will have them try and get the fans to react by having the big characters, Leia and Luke, giving those classic lines of the Force will be with you always, and you will again see them supporting her and helping her finally become balanced with the Force. Because also in the beginning of the trailer, she finally gets trained, maybe. We might finally actually get her trained for once, but it's already too late for that at this point. But also we'll have this Force Ghost showing up a la Harry Potter style. But anyway, this trailer, in all of my honest opinion, all that it does is it really helps to stress the narrative problems of The Last Jedi why this film, and no Star Wars film for that matter, can escape that tremendous shadow that Rian Johnson left over. And how no matter what JJ tries to throw at the audiences, you might be able to convince, and you apparently have. Again, because apparently this film has already broken records for pre-sales. Guess what also broke records for pre-sales? Solo, a Star Wars story, because pre-sales are only a part of the equation. Again, you also have to have people buying tickets on the day. And no one in the Fandom Menace, or anyone covering this for that matter, is going to say that this film is going to flop, right? At least I don't think so. Because a flop would indicate it's going to lose money. My thought process is that the number of people going to see this film might not be nearly as high as they think. My current range on this film is between $850 and about $1.1 billion. That's what I honestly think. I think it'll be less than The Last Jedi, and that it'll be more than Solo. That it'll make money, but maybe not much. This film could also be a giant juggernaut. Either case could happen. Because there are going to be some people looking back and saying, oh, you said this film was going to flop, and the Phantom Menace said it was going to flop and do terrible at the box office, and all of you were wrong. Au contraire. There is a universe, there is a world where this film does crazy box office numbers. Because we all know the power that Disney has over the normie audience. We all know that the Disney giant juggernaut knows how to get regular, normal people, non-hardcore fans to come see their movies no matter what. There's a reason why films like the frickin' Lion King, which is one of the most soulless films to exist in movie history of 2019, why that film made over $1.5, $1.6 billion. It's not because it was a good movie. It's not because people wanted to go see the movie. It's because they were able to convince enough people, hey, remember all of the great things from your childhood? You'll be getting that just in a different way. And they convinced them, and they showed up. People look at this trailer and say, oh, look, it's got all the feelings of Star Wars. That's all I care about. So anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that the Star Wars trailer is good? I'm going to have click the eye above my head. There's going to be a poll for this one. Yes or no? Is this trailer good or not? Or even actually more accurately, does this trailer make you want to see The Last Jedi? Or not The Last Jedi. Does this trailer make you want to go see Rise of Skywalker? Yes or no? Has this trailer convinced you? If you were on the fence, has it convinced you? If you've been firm in your ways, has it changed your mind? And if you are someone that has been excited for it, have you now changed your mind? Yes or no? Are you now excited because of this trailer to go see Episode 9? Let me know. Click the eye above my head to vote, and I'll try and share those answers in the next live stream or in the next video. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about all these things we talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give us a subscribe. It helps us out a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.